We are Sports. We are Sports.
The Rays brand of baseball travels well with great starting pitching, solid defense, and timely power. Tampa Bay went 5-2 on the opening road trip in 2015. Tonight, the Rays return home to the friendly confines of Tropicana Field, facing Alex Rodriguez and the rival New York Yankees. The Rays are fresh off the road and swing right back into action at Tropicana Field tonight, opening this series against the New York Yankees. And Evan Longoria, who has appeared in 252 consecutive games, will play tonight after being hit in the hip by a pitch last night. He'll be the DH. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So great to have you with us. Well, a great road trip for the Rays. They hope it will be a prelude of things to come. And frankly, they could not have played much better than they did on that road trip.
Well, they had a lot of things working for them. Number one, the pitching staff, and they were awfully good. You wondered going in, all the starters down, when guys stepped up. And in the 5 wins on the road, they were dominant. ERA of 1.80, opponent's average just over 150. You think about the 2 starts by Chris Archer, Jake Odorizzi, of course, Nathan Carnes, his last time out. Everybody chipping in the bullpen, getting some big outs in tight spots to be able to lead the way with those 5 wins. Then you look offensively, it wasn't always the familiar faces. Rookies getting it done. 5 home runs by the rookies on that road trip. 7 total. So 5 of the 7 led way by Steven Souza and Tim Beckham. Tim Beckham, 7 hits on the trip, 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. Steven Souza had 6 hits just in the Toronto series to go along with 2 home runs and 6 runs batted in. They got it done, had a great road trip, and now they come home, and guess what? He's back. Alex Rodriguez, after sitting out 2014, is back. 656 career home runs, and guess what? Off to a pretty good start relative to his teammates. A 286 average, a couple of home runs, 7 driven in, and out of those 656, he's victimized the Rays 47 times in his career.
And Alex Rodriguez chasing Willie Mays on that all-time home run list. And by the way, Nathan Carnes will go to the mound for the Rays, charged with facing the New York Yankees. The Yankees may be only 3-6, but they're 3rd in the league in home runs, trailing only Baltimore and Seattle in the early going. Nathan Carnes to the hill. We'll take a look at that in a moment.
jacked up. He's ready to go tonight in his third start, his first ever against the New York Yankees. Carnes had that very difficult start his very first time around against the Orioles, but really after 2 innings he was very good. Since then he has been outstanding. Here's Carnes' thoughts about what has changed.
I think you could say I was trying to be too fine with every pitch. So, now it's just kind of, get the strike one across the board and then kind of go from there. I felt like that was able, to get, early contact instead of trying to nibble where the hitters aren't going to sit there and 0-0 count, going to try and hit that fastball in the black. So it's just things like that are going to help me to stay, fewer pitches between innings and then kind of go there and lengthier part of the game.
Rays kept him in for 7 innings last time and 106 pitches. He'll be out there tonight, the New York Yankees, as the Rays and the Yankees kick off this 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Evan Longoria in the lineup, not playing defense. We'll see those lineups next with Wade and BA.
We welcome you to Rays baseball tonight as they take on the New York Yankees. And the 27-year-old right-hander Nathan Carnes goes to the mound to open this series and the homestand. The Yankees are in. They'll be followed by the Red Sox and then the Blue Jays. So a lot of baseball to be played here over the next week and a half at Tropicana Field. Starting lineup for New York, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Jacoby Ellsbury leads it off, followed by the third baseman Chase Headley. Carlos Beltran is in right field with Mark Teixeira at first. Brian McCann will catch. The DH is Alex Rodriguez. Stephen Drew in second. Chris Young is in left hitting eighth. And Didi Gregorius, the shortstop, in the ninth spot.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, right-hander Nathan Carnes. And outside of the first 2 innings of his season, he's been pretty good. And he comes off of a tremendous outing in Miami against the Marlins. 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, just one of them earned on 106 pitches. Well, let's take a look at the Rays defense. It's going to line up behind Nathan Carnes. Brought to you by BMW. Across the outfield, Left to right, we've got Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. Across the infield, third to first, Logan Forsythe as Drupal Cabrera, Tim Beckham, and Alan Dykstra. Bobby Wilson gets his call behind the plate.
There's Kevin Cash, proud of his club for the work they did on the road. Got out of Toronto, winning 3 out of 4 there, and has the Rays off to this 6-4 start. And we're set to play baseball with Jacoby Ellsbury in the box. And the first pitch of this game, Nathan Carnes throws a strike. That first pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. So we're underway here at Tropicana Field. Two.
Primarily, that's what Nathan Carnes is going to feature. He's going to move the fastball around the zone. We know that he's got that good power curve.
And wasting a little time and breaking that out. A ball, 2 strikes. I thought his comments were really interesting in that short segment with Todd. You know, here's a guy, Nathan Carnes. He's not exactly a raw rookie. He's 27 years old, but with limited major league time. And maybe he's learned something. He said he thought he was a little too fine. Or he's fine right there with a called third strike to get Ellsbury. And sometimes it just takes that for a pitcher with limited major league time to trust himself enough.
You know, he's got a great pitching coach in Jim Hickey, so he can lean on him. Jim Hickey's got a track record, and he's going to be giving him, you know, the same advice. But then you're surrounded by other starters who have a similar style of pitching. You know, Chris Archer, you talk to him, and he talks about being in attack mode, working from the inside of the plate out, not being too fine. Alex Cobb the same way. All these different Rays pitchers that have been so successful at doing that, and you're surrounded by that. And these guys, they have tremendous camaraderie, and so they all sit around and talk and share ideas, and I'm telling you, it starts to wear off.
Yeah, when you look at his career and how he's been just dominating, and then next time out would struggle, and it all had to do with whether he could stay ahead in the count. And if he can do that and trust his stuff to get him there, you know, that's the proverbial light they talk about that sometimes suddenly goes on. Well, the Rays are hoping that's the case, because Carnes has all of the elements that you need to be successful.
What is that, 4 starts with the Rays, and in 2 of them he's gone 7 innings, 2 hits. 1 no earned runs, 1 earned run. So he's capable.
And there is strike 3 on the fastball. He gets Headley looking. Back-to-back strikeouts to start this one.
You know, what stood out about Chris Archer last night, not only the breaking balls behind in the count, but the good downhill plane on the fastball. That's right there. Same thing. Nathan Carnes, good pitcher's build, tall, working downhill, beautiful heater.
Well, you talk about that nice pitching lane out there. Curveball to Beltran misses. Yeah, that was pretty. So a couple of strikeouts looking. Both out there in that same vicinity. He comes right back with a curve and drops that one in there. 1-1. Rays have the shift on for Beltran. That runs it to 2-1. It's a 3-1 count. Carnes coming off Sunday's outing in Miami. Hit 106 pitches in that one for 7 innings of work. And a strike.
That will bode well if that's going to be the strike zone tonight. If that's consistently called, you start to think about the downhill plane fastball, and then you think about that curveball down at the bottom of the zone. It sets up very well for Nathan Carnes.
And it's low. So he walks Beltran, and you saw the location of those pitches, though. I mean, he easily could be out of this inning right now. Gives up a walk with 2 outs. And Mark Teixeira steps in.
Well, this Yankee lineup overall, they're averaging 5 runs a game. 14 of those came in one game, though. Outside of that, averaging under 4 runs a game. But Teixeira leads the team with 3 home runs. Be careful.
And he takes another pitch. That's 16 pitches by Carnes. 15 have been taken. Oh, 1 count here on Teixeira.
Someone's got to tell the Yankee hitters this is not live BP. Not just tracking pitches here tonight.
Headley fouled that second pitch off that he saw, and that's been it in the swing department.
He was promptly fined.
Too low. Breaking ball.
These Yankee hitters, you know, a veteran group top to bottom. And so they want to get a good look at Nathan Carnes and see what he features. They know that fastball and curveball are the 2 primary. They've gotten a good look so far.
There's a big cut, a foul. Takes the count to 2-2. Braves and the Yankees play each other 19 times this year. This is the first of those meetings. Saw Hunter Wendelstedt start to maybe go up, but decided no, and the count now is full.
Very close here. The fastball just running off the corner.
And ball 4 is down. So a couple strikeouts and a couple walks.
And that's going to bring Jim Hickey out. We've seen him do this with young starters, or at least guys that with limited experience. First sign of trouble, he's going to try to jump out in front of it. And after the back-to-back walks, you can understand why. You know, we were talking earlier about Nathan Carnes and that newfound, you know, trying not to be too fine, that idea. And this is a big start for him because you've got a Yankee lineup that these guys may not have gotten off to the start that a lot of them wish they would have here in 2015, but it's still, you know, a lineup that's long on track record, long on reputation, a lot of big names in that lineup. And so that will test Nathan Carnes mentally to stay in the zone and continue to attack these hitters. There's just one big name after another rolling in.
There's Brian McCann. McCann hitting an even 200 with a home run. Breaking ball is down and into him. McCann did most of his damage at home at Yankee Stadium last year. 19 of his 23 home runs were at home, leaving just 4 for the road. One.
You know, McCann had a nice season production-wise with the 23 home runs, 75 driven in, but the batting average, 40 points off his career average. The on-base percentage, 60 points off his career average.
It's fouled back. Carnes out in front, 1-2. Braves adjusting Beckham, who is in shallow right center field, or shallow right field. They moved him a couple steps toward center now with a 1-2 count. The pitch is fouled off. Braves with that major shift on for McCann.
Yeah, and you can afford to be aggressive with Tim Beckham way out here. You know, with 2 outs, you just want to make a play.
And before they got to 2 strikes, he was about 10 feet toward the right field line. That's an amazing shift.
Very specific.
Under it, popped it up. Beckham right there in his tracks to make the catch. 2 men left. We're headed into the bottom half of the first here at the Trop, and Kevin Kiermaier will be at the top of the Rays lineup. And what a top half of the first it was. He had 2 outs on 9 pitches. Took him 26 pitches then to get through the rest of the inning. Lineup for the Rays presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Kiermaier to lead it off. Then Souza Jr., Cabrera, Evan Longoria, the DH. Desmond Jennings sits behind him in front of Dykstra. Forsythe, Beckham, and Wilson. Bobby Wilson hitting 9th and doing the catching tonight.
Well, Adam Warren's going to take the mound tonight for the New York Yankees, coming off of a losing effort, but not a bad effort against the Boston Red Sox. 5 1/3 innings, 2 runs, just 1 earned. Making that transition from the bullpen.
There's a first pitch strike in to Kevin Kiermaier.
I should say transition back. You know, he was a starter in the minor leagues, 90 starts in the minor leagues. Came up with the Yankees and out of the bullpen exclusively last season.
You know, that's the way it used to be. Guy'd come up from the minor leagues. Well, go to the bullpen. See if you're okay then maybe we'll give you a start. Pitch well, maybe another one. Down to first. Teixeira makes that play unassisted.
Now let's take a look at the New York Yankee defense, brought to you by BMW. Popping that outfield left to right. We've got Chris Young, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran across the infield. Third to first, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Stephen Drew, and Mark Teixeira. Brian McCann will be behind the dish.
Steven Souza Jr. He had a very good road trip. We saw the power, we saw the speed, we saw the bunt. He takes a strike.
It really came alive in the second half of that trip in Toronto. 6 out of 16 in Toronto, 2 home runs, 6 driven in. And you're right, exciting. Stolen base, laying one down, good speed.
Well, the Rays will tell you that, in a way, he's been on their radar screen for a while. They really liked him, and you could see in that series all the elements on display as to why they liked him so much.
And I think that it was getting that first week out of the way. You know, Steven Souza Jr. has never been an everyday player in Major League Baseball. And here he comes over in a trade, knows he's going to be counted on, starts the season off in the 2-hole. A little early season jitters, but he settled in nicely and put together a heck of a road trip.
It's 2-2 here against Warren. Warren out of Birmingham, Alabama. There's Drupal Cabrera on deck. Into center, and that's a base hit. Johnson will make the turn as Ellsbury returns the ball to the infield.
Yeah, and a nice job there. 2 strikes. Adam Warren's going to come with a slider, and Stevens stays back on it very nicely and uses the middle of the field. Here it comes. Let that ball break. He stays right on it, doesn't pull off, stays up the middle, and drives it back up the middle. Again, nice short and quick into the baseball. And now you get that threat of a stolen base out there, although Adam Warren not very easy to run on. There's 1 stolen base against him last year in 78 2/3 innings.
Yeah, and he fields his position well. He won some awards during his minor league time as a premier fielder off the mound. Up the right side by Cabrera, but it's foul. 1 strike.
Well, it's always nice to have a pitcher on the mound that can help himself. You know, can get off a mound, field a bunt, can turn a double play.
You're able to get an out on a little dribbler or something like that. Something like we've seen Rivera behind the plate get out there. I mean, the guy gets on base. Hey, that's as good as if he'd got the conventional base hit, driving a ball into the outfield somewhere. The worth is the same because you've got a base runner. And when you can prevent that and you field your position, you help yourself. Base hit into right for Cabrera. Souza makes the turn. He'll hang right there at second base. So Cabrera, who was hitless in the Toronto series, wastes little time as a base hit his first time up tonight.
Adam Warren very proficient at getting a ground ball. He likes to work a sinker down in the zone. Well, that was down in the zone, but not a whole lot of sinker run on that pitch. And Cabrera able to rifle it in the hole between first and second. And the Rays have a threat here early.
And Evan Longoria, who was hit in the left hip in the 8th inning of last night's game in Toronto and left. And here's a look at that. Pretty good shot in a tough spot.
You can hear it. You can just hear it. Solid contact with that hip. And by the way, a former college teammate.
Yeah, what's that? Did he steal his lunch money or something? And you know, if you're going to get hit in the hip, that's about as tough a place. You know, maybe just a little back of the center might be a little bit better. Well, a little more cushion.
Well, that's exactly right. That's what Evan's thinking right now. And you know, one former teammate, Marco Estrada, still friends, and you know he didn't go up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times if you're going to hit a guy on purpose, you're going rib cage.
Yeah.
You want rib cage. You want somewhere where they're going to think about it for a couple of weeks. He went down, but still ended up catching Evan in a bad part of the hip.
He got him solid.
Oh. Anytime the ball sounds like a smack.
Yeah.
That tuned you up.
2-1 to count to Evan. That evens the count. Well, see playing tonight to extend his active streak to 253. Not all of those have been starts, but Evan still in the start department has 180 consecutive starts, and that's the active major league leader as well. A 2-2 count to Evan. You know, that's something that is important to Longoria, and I really think when the season begins, and you hear sometimes a lot of hitters set goals, they want so many home runs, so many RBIs. And really, Evan, the last few years has really been centered about trying to play every day. You know, after he missed so much time in 2012, he was in 160 games in 13 and 162 last year. Ground ball sharply hit. Headley will go to second, one, and over to first. 5-4-3 on the double play. Rays with a couple hits. They leave a man, and when we go to the second, the DH, Alex Rodriguez will lead off. Here's the New York DH. 656 home runs, 4 short of Willie Mays, who is 4th on the all-time home run list with 660. Bonds, Aaron, Ruth, then Mays, and then Rodriguez. He has 2 home runs this year with an average of 286. Strike one.
Now, Alex Rodriguez still wants to get extended. He's got to start it a little bit earlier than he did earlier in his career. And he can be tied up inside.
High fly ball driven into left center field. That ball will get out of here. Boy, did he hit that ball a mile. Couple of fastballs, and he drove that one out of here. New York leads 1-0. Well, he may be closing in on 40 years of age, but he got some great depth on that one.
Well, we just talked about the fact that Alex Rodriguez wants to get extended. You know, the Rays have had success against him. Now, they didn't see him last year, obviously, but they like that heater up and in close to the hands. They let him get those hands out on that pitch, and when you do that, look out.
Stephen Drew fouls it away.
I'm trying to go away, and that's belt high. Arms extended. No doubt.
One and one. Second home run given up by Carnes this year, and that was a no-doubter off the bat of Alex Rodriguez. .3 miles per hour off the bat. So he turned that one around. So now just 3 short of Willie Mays. Breaking ball 2-2.
Well, I think Alex Rodriguez comes into this season with a lot to prove. You know, after sitting out a season and everybody's saying, well, you know, you're done anyway. What are you going to be able to sitting out? Your timing's going to be off. Look at how it affected Stephen Drew just sitting out the beginning of last year. You know, he sat out, didn't take the qualifying offer the year before.
And never really did get his timing.
Never did. He came back soon after signing. The timing never came back. The numbers haven't come back yet. And so Alex Rodriguez sits out an entire season, but you know, he's off to a pretty good start. That average now up around 300. He's tied with the team lead in home runs with Teixeira with 3 and 8 driven in.
Fouled away. Back and to the left into the stands. Drew draws a walk. So a couple of strikeouts to start the game, and then Carnes walked a couple, and a prolonged first inning after that quick start. Now the home run allowed to Rodriguez and a walk to Drew.
Well, he needs something good to happen here. And Chris Young, you know, he's getting some playing time with Gardner out, and he's over 300, a couple of home runs down in the 8-hole. But Nate Carnes needs just to get back in the zone, back pitching ahead.
The bunt, first base. Dykstra is going to pick it up and step on the bag. Drew moves into second. So Young advances a runner. And a man in scoring position with only 1 out for the shortstop, Didi Gregorius. He's hitting out of the 9th spot.
I mean, it's been a rough start for Didi Gregorius.
You can only
Yankee
imagine
ball club.
his situation.
No question.
And he's tough enough to play in New York on that stage and in the aftermath of Derek Jeter. Late on the fastball, strike 1.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the thing. It hasn't done much with the bat, and Nate Carnes right there comes with, you know, 92-mile-an-hour firm fastball, but you're right, noticeably late.
One and one. Two balls and a strike, off speed, misses.
Nathan trying to find that consistent release point. We've seen the fastball and the changeup left off the plate away. We've seen a couple where he's over adjusted and yanked some across the plate.
2-2. Gregorius coming from the National League, from the Diamondbacks. That was in that December deal that involved the Yankees and the Diamondbacks and the Tigers. Short left. Jennings is there. 2 outs. Yeah, that's a deal that that right-hander Shane Green went to Detroit. Now here's the top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury.
A little bit we saw Shane Green. I liked what he featured, and I'll tell you what, is there anybody throwing the ball? Not many throwing the ball better than he did his first couple of times out for the Tigers.
Or maybe Odorizzi and Archer. They're throwing the ball as well as anybody right now.
Just to toss a couple of names into the conversation. Curveball missed up a bit. 1 ball, no strikes. It's a foul ball, and it's a 1-1 count.
Now, at least he introduced the changeup there. Gives something for Jacoby Ellsbury to think about. You're obviously aware of the fastball, the curveball, now the changeup to get back even. Ellsbury, very accomplished hitter. He had his best power numbers last year since 2011. Always a threat to steal a bag.
And back to the hill, grabbed by Carnes, flipped to Dykstra. So the only run is that long home run delivered by Alex Rodriguez. We'll head into the home half of the second. It's 1-0 New York. Had a couple men on base in the bottom of the first. Did not score. The Yankees put up the run on the A-Rod home run in the second. So it's Desmond Jennings to lead it off. And the pitch is a strike. And by the way, the ground ball, that double play ground ball off Longoria's bat against Warren, is not unusual with Warren out there. He'll throw some ground balls.
His ground ball fly ball ratio 1.60. That's very, very good. And you can see both of these pitchers trying to take advantage of that low strike zone here by Hunter Wendelstedt.
Desmond behind in the count, starts the night at 2:35. Line drive caught by the shortstop Gregorius. One away in this game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Alan Dykstra. Curveball that stayed wide. 1 ball, no strikes.
I kind of like the bat tape. Everything going fluorescent now.
0-2.
Almost matches his eye.
Yeah, that was interesting the other day on that road trip. Just your normal little bunting exercise, and it fouled right back. You can see just below the bill of that batting helmet there. The bruising has progressed into that fluorescent yellow.
You can imagine, you know, you're just squaring around getting your bunts down so you can go to hack and you bunt one. Fortunately, it didn't keep him out of the lineup. You know, it could have been a whole lot worse than it was, but that's infuriating.
3-1, and he skies it. The shallow center, and Ellsbury waiting on that one. 2 gone. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 13 years. Keep an eye on the range competition and watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV. Logan Forsythe takes it down. Tracking widgets. We're getting very technical now. Tracking widgets.
That takes me back to elementary school trying to learn some math. It was always counting widgets.
Yeah.
Always widgets. Not even sure.
If you made so many widgets and sold them for so much,
right,
and it took you this long, then what kind of production do you have?
We would have been really smart if we would have raised our hand and you know, asked Mrs. Krabappel, what's a widget? And why do we care?
Yeah, and how do you track them? 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Do they even leave tracks? A little wide. 2-2, bases empty, 2 outs. Forsythe playing third base with Tim Beckham in the lineup at second, and Evan Longoria serving as the DH. Here's a base hit. Liner toward left center. Young picks it up and holds Forsythe to a single.
Well, Adam Warren, his slider's been flat tonight. The Rays have had some good swings on it. You go back to the first inning, Steven Souza Jr. going up the middle on a slider. The line out by Desmond Jennings was on a slider. He hit that ball hard, but right at Gregorius. And right there, Logan Forsythe recognizing that pitch and pounded one out into the outfield.
Yeah, and that's his primary breaking pitch. We did see a curve, but he doesn't throw many of those normally.
No. Yeah, he's that. You talked about the ground ball, that sinker, slider. That's where they come up with that acronym. Now there's the good one.
Oh man, that disappeared on Beckham.
That's the one that he's been looking for. How he can really sweep that thing right out of the zone.
Well, Beckham doesn't really start an at bat till the count's 0-2 anyway.
Good point.
One and one. Toyota trend there. 5 home runs by rookies this month for the Rays. How about that in April? From 11 to 14, a big 0.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Hard to believe. Those 5 home runs came on this last road trip. 5 of the 7 total that the Rays hit. Tim Beckham had 2. Could have easily had 3.
Yeah, it was robbed by Kevin Pillar. 2-2. There he is last night in Toronto.
0-2.
Yep. Right down the line and gone.
Well, you not only got to get it, you got to clear the fence. You got to keep it away from Pilar.
Yeah, if he just pulled it a little bit more the night before. Fouls this one back.
Tim Beckham 7 for 18 on that road trip in a role that he's not used to. He used to being an everyday player. We talked the same thing about Brandon Guyer last year, coming up here and coming off the bench. Think about the Rays coming off the bench this year. They've been awesome.
Well, he fouls another one back. So 6 pitches in here. That's what you want out of a hitter. The more pitches, the better. Well, that 10 pitch at bat he had in Miami was just marvelous.
That's really where the confidence started to grow, and showing no signs of letting up, regardless of the outcome. He just continues to put together some good at-bats.
Runner goes, and a cut and a miss, a foul tip. Strikeout to retire the side. On to the third, 1-0 New York. Sports brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Checkers. Get Checkers authentic Philly cheesesteak or try the new meatball sub. Pick yours, 2 for $5. Montgomery looking for a little refreshment. It's thirsty.
It's Florida. It's hot.
Yeah. How about that? Here's Chase Headley. Lead off the third. Headley, then Beltran and Teixeira. I don't know the count. Oh, 1-1. Headley out in front right there. A couple of strikeouts. They came in the first 2 hitters of the game for Nathan Carnes. Did he go? Yes, he did. It's Jerry Lane down there at third. First out in the third inning, and we'll check in with Todd Callis. Todd?
Dwayne, a couple of roster moves before this game tonight for the Rays. Mikey Matuk has a good memory to take with him to Durham with that home run in Toronto, but a little more flexibility needed on the infield, so Ryan Brett is up. It is Ryan's father's birthday. He is here in the crowd tonight. And on the pitching side, Jeff Beliveau felt a little bit of a dead arm in the spring, never really recovered for that, so he's going to see Dr. Coco Eaton over the weekend. And in his place is the lefty we saw last year right behind me here, C.J. Riefenhauser, up part of the bullpen now, guys. So those are the moves prior to tonight's game.
Yep. Hauser, another lefty in the bullpen with Beliveau out of action. 1-1 the count to Beltran. Two.
You know, Jeff Beliveau, he didn't have the normal off season. He was part of that Japan tour. So when the season was over, you got some time off. Then you're going overseas to pitch. I wonder if that had anything. That can sometimes upset the rhythm of an off season. When your season ends, you sit around for a month, and all of a sudden now you're pitching in November.
Well, let's hope that everything's okay, because he showed some signs last year of being valuable as a left-hander in that bullpen. Beltran out on strikes. 2 up and 2 down.
He's got that funk to his delivery where he kind of can sling the ball up there, ride it away from the lefties, sweep the breaking ball. He's another guy that was very adept at climbing the ladder, almost seemingly would throw the fastball above where the release point was, just kind of shoot it up in the zone from his arm angle, get a lot of swing and misses.
Carnes gets ahead of Teixeira with a breaking ball, strike 1. Fly ball to the opposite side. Jennings back in front of the wall, handles this one, and it's a quick third. Bottom of the inning coming, 1-0. On the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and leave long-lasting memories. To reserve the Papa John's bullpen box, contact Group Sales at 888-FAN-RAISE, email groupsales@raisebaseball.com, or visit raisebaseball.com. Limited dates remain. Bobby Wilson leading off. High popper. Foul ball, and Headley down near the coaching box makes the catch. Wilson out on the first pitch in the home half of the third. Let's go back around to the top side of the order. Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier shortened on the bat and then drew that bat back.
You've got Gregorius shaded up the middle, Headley by himself just off third base, even with the bag.
Two strikes the count.
Kevin Kiermaier, good speed. Now Headley moving off, trying to cover up that hole on the left side, but good speed, great effort. That's where Adam Warren, why he can be so successful against left-handed hitters, takes that slider, almost turns it into a cutter in on their hands.
And it's a 2-2 count. If you look at his breakout, lefty righty, and it tells you exactly that. Last year, right-handed hitters 252 off him, and lefties 178. Full count to Kiermaier. By the way, they're saying the ball that Alex Rodriguez hit, 471, was the distance that we got from MLB. 471.
And you know what? I wouldn't argue with that. However, what I would say, if that was 471, you're telling me that Steven Souza in Toronto was only 463?
Yeah.
Baloney.
Yeah,
Baloney. You know, with all these advanced metrics in the game of baseball, how they can measure everything, they still are awful at tracking home runs. Awful.
There's a great opportunity.
Yeah, get a rangefinder.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, Kevin Patterson, our producer,
go down to the golf
said
store.
that he could figure it out. But he said, just go to, get a rangefinder, tune it out there, and you figure it out. Instead, we've got 471 for that, which was a bomb, no doubt. But Souza Jr. in Toronto was every bit of 471, 491.
Warren knocks it down, recovers, and gets it to first in time to get Kiermaier for the second out. Well, there, you've just blown the opportunity for Kevin Patterson to become independently wealthy. He could have called it the Patterson home run meter.
He's still good.
Yeah, but now the jig's up. They
Listen,
know where he got it. He went down
got
to the local golf store, bought it. He could have written his name on it, said, "Hey, I'll sell you this." Use it every ballpark in the country.
You just need to change the design. That's all. Just keep the technology, change the design.
And Souza skies one on the infield. Gregorius at short, takes care of that. 1, 2, 3. We go to the fourth. It's 1-0 New York. For Brian McCann steps in. Let's check in with Emily.
Thanks, Dwayne. As you just heard Todd talk about some of the roster moves for the Rays recently, C.J. Riefenhauser and Ryan Brett has put the Rays with a major league high 9 rookies on the roster, but it doesn't seem like these guys are letting that limited MLB experience get to them. Steven Souza Jr. and Tim Beckham combined for 4 home runs and 12 RBIs on that recent road trip. And both times Beckham has been called to pinch hit for the Rays this season. Well, guys, he's delivered. The only guy in the big leagues right now with 2 home runs when he pinch hits. Back up to you, Dwayne.
All right, here we go with Brian McCann leading off. Taking a breaking ball. The count is 1-1. Well, the rookie hitters came through for the Rays on that road trip. 1-2 now on McCann. Alex Rodriguez next. And strike 3 call. Fastball got him looking.
Seen a couple of those. Nathan Karns getting ahead and then locking guys up with the heater in, the true heater. Look at him stay behind it and drive it right to a spot.
Well, there's Alex Rodriguez again. Strikes him with that breaking ball, strike 1. Quickly 0-2. And home run in the second inning. The measurement provided by Major League Baseball, 471. 1-2.
That's the furthest in Major League Baseball this year.
Longest home run that they have in the books here, Vinny Castilla, 478. Chop left side. Forsythe cuts in from third to throw out Rodriguez. 2 gone. And let's go back into the time tunnel. There is that swing and blast in April of 2001 off the bat of Vinny Castilla.
It was over the ring, and it smacked off the back of the wall.
The upper deck.
The reaction of whoever delivered that pitch was, I'll let you know, contact. You just start circling the mound, waiting to ask for a new ball.
Strike the count. That was against the Blue Jays, and it's taxing my memory.
Go to the black book
as to who was on the mound, but you know, it's one of those that's right there. You can't get it. Yeah, Joey Hamilton.
You got it.
It was right there, just teasing you. Still 2 strikes on Stephen Drew. It was a frustrating stay for Vinny Castilla here during those days, but boy, that was a blast. 1-2. Commonly thought that it's about 450 to the back wall here, the concrete wall. And then you'd have to do a little projecting then as to how far a ball might have actually traveled. And you do some of that. And they're saying 471 on the blast tonight by Alex Rodriguez. Full count on Stephen Drew. You know, we're talking about the ball that Souza hit in Toronto. And the one, Jim told me, one of the first up there to hit it into that restaurant. Center field. There's a shot off the bat of Drew. That's got Terry. Souza's going to run out of room. And Drew hits one out. That's his third home run of the year and will be his career home run number 100. So 2 solo home runs for New York tonight. The Yankees have now hit 15 home runs as a team. We mentioned at the outset they trailed only the Orioles and the Mariners in home runs as a team, and they've hit 2 tonight.
He's got company tonight. Stephen Drew. Well, he had a couple of fastballs in his first at-bat that he had good swings on and just missed. Finally caught up to one.
Chris Young hits a curveball. That's 100 home runs for Stephen Drew. His brother J.D. had 242. There's a line drive down the line, but it's going to hook foul. And a souvenir. 1-1. The count on Chris Young. So they're the 8th pair of brothers to have at least 100 career home runs in the major leagues. The Alomars, the Boones, the Boyers, the Maggios, Musils, the Uptons, and the Youngs. Dimitri and Delman on that list. Two. So now it's a full count. Bob Davidson down at first base. Says he checked in time. We'll see another 3-2 pitch to the number 8 hitter, Chris Young. Young came over at the end of the season last year and got a little chance to play and made the most of it. And I think to a lot of people it's a surprise to how well he played when he got that opportunity with the Yankees.
He came over to the Yankees from the Mets just across town, and the numbers drastically different. Hit some big home runs. And on base percentage went north of 350.
Again, 3-2. And a foul ball that gets a part of Bobby Wilson.
Great shot.
Yeah, it can never be pleasant. So it's Young who has battled here and is about to see the 10th pitch of this at bat. Carnes walks him. 3-2 curveball on the 10th pitch. Runner at first. And out comes Jim Hickey.
Well, here we are, 2 outs in the 4th inning. Nathan Carnes at 81 pitches. See the first inning where seemingly he was off and running a 9-pitch first 2 outs of the inning, and then that ended up being 26, now 25 here. Yankees making him work, and that's nothing new for this team.
No, for the longest. I mean, I can't remember. But it hasn't been this way, that the Yankees were just so great about making pitchers run that pitch count up. I mean, it was par for the course. They wanted 100 pitches by the 5th inning. And almost every night it seemed that they got at least that.
Oh, yeah. They try to get into that bullpen as early as possible, especially early in a series. Really tax the bullpen.
Here's Gregorius, the shortstop. Fouled away.
Although with the way that some of these bullpens are put together now, that may not be the best philosophy anymore. I mean, you want to stay away from that bullpen. Too much power.
Yeah, you want to go out in the early part and score as many runs as you can and just be aggressive and pile up runs so you don't have to deal with the bullpen the last 3 innings. A 1-1 count. Takes it to 1-2. Here on a couple of solo home runs, the Yankees have a 2-0 lead. Did he go? No, says Jerry Lane. It's 2-2.
No, good idea there by Nathan Carnes. Hit up in the count, dropped that breaking ball over the plate, but down below the zone. Better job by Gregorius in holding up, and he do it again.
And a cut and a miss. He's out on strikes, out the front. Run scores on the Drew home run, 2-0 New York. Tonight's great moment in Rays history brought to you by Geico. Last night, Evan Longoria's double in the 6th inning moved him beyond Ken Zobrist for first place on the Rays all-time doubles list with 230. That led to a run leading off the 6th, and they later scored on the Beckham home run. Dribble Cabrera fouling the first pitch back. Strike one. Cabrera singled in the first, one of 3 hits the Rays have through the first 3 innings. The Rays seem to be trying to get something going there in the first when Souza and Cabrera put one out back-to-back singles together, but The double play ball got Warren out of that spot. Action in the Rays bullpen. Jose Dominguez is up. Cabrera pops it foul toward the bullpen, angling toward the stands, and that ball disappeared.
That's still up there. He went right into the ring.
Teixeira and Drew went over there and lost sight of it. And a couple of folks in the front row covered their heads, and it never came down. Now you'll spend the rest of the evening, if you're sitting down there, as if the sword of Damocles was hanging over your head. Swing and a miss. Cabrera out on strikes. Here's Evan. Doria grounded into the double play his first time.
I like how you went all Dennis Miller on us right there with the reference that like 15 to 18 people will get, and right now they've fallen off the couch, and the rest of us are going, I got to look up this sword of Damocles.
It may never fall, but you're not quite sure.
Well, I want to find out all about it now. Piqued my interest.
One strike to count on Evan Longoria. Yankees shift for Evan. And Stephen Drew on the shortstop side of second. One and two. Pitch riding in on Evan, and he fouls it with fastball. Rays had the two singles in the first, a two-out single in the second. And that's been it so far. Ground ball headed toward the middle. Grabbed by Gregorius, throw to first. Teixeira tried to scoop it and could not do it successfully. Longoria is aboard with a base hit.
Well, Didi Gregorius, since coming over from the Diamondbacks, really all aspects of the game, he struggled here in the early going, but this was a heck of an effort. Sliding up the middle, the spin and throw in one motion. A great chance to get Evan, and the scoop there, Mark Teixeira, usually very good. Not an easy scoop, but we've seen him make this play time and again. Tough hop in between, not able to corral it. Evan gets in. Right off the heel.
Well, let's see if the Rays can make that lead to something, but Desmond Jennings taking the pitch inside. Rays have not seen a lot of Warren. Jennings came into the game 1 of 3 against him. Evan came in 2 out of 8, so that's his third hit and 10 at-bats against him, by far more than anybody else. Warren made the start against Boston on the 11th. He made 98 pitches in that game through 5 1/3. Left that game trailing 2-1. He leads 2-0 in this one. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, you remember Adam Warren tried to close Desmond Jennings out with a slider in his first at bat. He lined out to Gregorius. Comes in with a fastball there. 2-2 count. Does he go back to the wrinkle?
And it's 3-2.
And you throw that fastball in to try to set up that breaking ball away, and he just not able to get it to his spot out of the hand. It was below the zone. Good recognition by Desmond.
Runner goes. The pitch is a ball. And the Rays are going to have 2 men on. Jennings again laying off the slider, this time 3-2, and he draws the walk.
Yeah, that one a little bit more difficult. That was not a bad pitch by Warren, just below the zone. But again, Desmond Jennings with great pitch recognition, and he earns himself a walk.
So the Rays, for the second time tonight with 1 out, have 2 men on base. Alan Dykstra hit a towering fly ball. He skied it to center his first time. And a curveball, it appeared. That was low. 1 ball, no strikes. Two and 0. McCann and Warren talking it over with the middle infielders also involved. Warren last year, pretty good ERA at 2.97, 9 decisions, 3-6, 69 relief appearances. And a long one up the right field line. Is it fair? Fair ball. Hit the pole. And Alan Dykstra's first major league home run gives the Rays a 3-2 lead. Dykstra's second hit with the Rays. His first long one, and it gives them a lead.
Just that quickly. Evan Longoria, an infield hit. Desmond Jennings takes a walk, and Alan Dykstra right down the line off the foul pole, right into that netting.
So the Rays do cash in on this opportunity. Logan Forsythe fouls it back. That's a strike. Well, a thrill for Alan Dykstra. Just fair down the right field line.
You know what? You got to give credit where credit is due. You know, we talked earlier about our producer, Kevin Patterson, and his idea about how to track home runs was in my ear the pitch before that saying 3-run homer, Dykstra. He's going to get one here.
That's why he's the producer.
I think he saw it before we did. This is really good.
1-2.
He's having himself quite a night.
He's the brains of the operation.
Oh, without question.
It's grading on a curve, though. So, what's it worth? There's a high shot. Back into deep left center. Young looks up, and that baby's gone. Long home run off the bat of Logan Forsythe. And the Rays lead 4-2. Rays bats coming alive with the long ball. Back to back, Dykstra and Forsythe.
Boy, that's just how quickly a lead can evaporate. The big 3-run homer by Dykstra, and then Logan Forsythe pounded that ball deep out into left center field.
Logan's second home run of the year.
Boy, fastball right down Broadway, and Logan, you see him lock, load, and deliver.
Beckham takes a pitch down. There's the home run by Dykstra. Right off the screening adjacent to the foul pole. Dykstra and Forsythe going back to back. There's a line drive right at Gregorius for the out. Beckham is out number 2. Last back to back against the Orioles last September, and it was Longoria and Loney. Dykstra and Forsythe tonight. Bobby Wilson.
Well, you know what? A late night back in for the Rays. Took him a couple innings to shake off the cobwebs, shake out the cobwebs, and then get to work.
One and one.
Tell you, this team, they just love to play the game hard. They love playing with each other. Great camaraderie on the team. And this little burst by the Rays offense has the Yankee bullpen busy. Esmiel Rogers up and throwing.
Forsythe with his second home run. His first home run came against the Orioles on the second game of the year when he had that deep at bat against the Orioles starter Wei-Yin Chen. (3-1) now to Bobby Wilson, and he draws the walk. Wilson continues to get good at bats. You know, as a backup catcher, you don't get that many chances, but every time we've seen him up there, he has a good at bat.
That has been, you know, we talked about it the last homestand, the season opening series, about how this team was starting to put together the identity of a team ready to hit, but also working good at bats up and down the lineup. And you know, you're seeing it consistently. Now, they'll go out there and take a rip at a first pitch out over. But time and again, this team leads Major League Baseball in drawing walks.
Kevin Kiermaier takes that for a ball. And the interesting thing about that is, I think you could say that this lineup is more aggressive than last year. And the result of that, interestingly enough, is that they're drawing all these walks as well. It's a low strike right there at the knees, 1-1. Good cut. It's now 1-2. Chopper headed toward Drew. Throw to first, gets the hustling Kiermaier. But the Rays have a very big inning in the fourth. They score 4. They get back-to-back home runs from Alan Dykstra and Logan Forsythe. And at the end of 4, they have a 2-run, 4-2 lead. with back-to-back AL East showdowns as the Orioles take on the Red Sox, followed by the Yankees squaring off against the Rays. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on America's home for baseball every Saturday. Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Long ball tonight. A couple of home runs by New York and back-to-back blasts by the Rays out of Alan Dykstra and Logan Forsythe. So we go to the fifth with the Rays leading 4-2. It'll be the top of the order to face Carnes. Jacoby Ellsbury looks at a strike.
Yeah, and an important inning here for Nathan Carnes for that reason. He's been handed a lead. He's at the top of the Yankee order for the third time.
Fouls it back 0-2. You know, we're talking about the good at-bats the Rays have gotten consistently up and down the order here in the first couple weeks of the season. And I'm just thinking about the first home run that Forsythe hit this year, the one that we referenced off Wei-Yin Chen. You know, he got behind 0-2 in that count and worked an 11 pitch at bat to take it to 3-2, and on the 11th pitch he hit the home run. We've seen on that last road trip what Beckham did with that 10 pitch at bat, pinch hit after getting down on the count. So the Rays have been aggressive offensively, but they've also been disciplined to the point of just working some ridiculously long at bats and turning them to their advantage.
Not comfortable at bats. You know, when you're down 0-2 early and you're battling, fouling off tough pitch after tough pitch, not very easy.
There's Beckham gloving this one off the bat of Ellsbury. One away. 4-3. Chase Headley, the third baseman for the Yankees,
Number 12.
about to step in. It's a strike. Boy, what it is, what a lift it is for a pitcher. You're down 2-0 and suddenly your lineup gives you 4 runs in the lead. You can go back out there in the 5th inning with a lead. A little different look.
It's like a reset, especially starting at the top of the order. You're just back out there and you've been given a new lease. Make the most of it. And you can see even in the body language here of Nathan Carnes, that confidence. A couple of balls out over the plate have left the yard, but still keeping his team in it and now working with the lead.
And there's that other sense as well that this is what your teammates have done for you, and now you got to go out there and do something for them. So that's at work.
You know, and with the bullpen out there, the pitch count going north, getting close to 100. Double barrel action in the bullpen. You can see Nathan Carnes emptying the tank. These pitches are max effort.
Headley fouls off the off-speed pitch. Dominguez was up earlier last inning. Frieri has joined him. Strike call. Fastball caught him looking. Third time Headley's been out on strikes tonight. Second time looking.
Boy, arm side, and he runs it right to the corner. Look at this. I mean, splits Bobby Wilson in 2 right on the corner, driving that pitch right to a spot and locking up Headley.
Beltran takes the first pitch for a ball, and a nice job by Wilson receiving that pitch as well. You give Wendelstedt just a good look. Nothing that would indicate he's trying to persuade the umpire. Just a good look.
Take that outside corner and put it right in the middle of your body. And you see on that particular pitch in a 2-0 count, he's not going to venture that far off. He wants Nathan Karns to come out a little bit more over the plate, still in a good spot, but doesn't have to go and venture as far off as he was with Headley.
And back to strike 2.
And now you've got a chance. Now it depends on what they're going to do. Are they going to try to drop something off speed out over the plate below the zone or the fastball up, or does he go back to the corner? See him a little bit further out there now.
He took a shot. Missed with the fastball. The count is full.
No, not a bad idea, because that ball down has been being called tonight by Hunter Wendelstedt.
Just a piece of it, forcing another 3-2 pitch. Foul ball again. Beltran making it difficult. Ground ball into shallow right where Beckham is. And out of the shift, he throws him out. We go to the home half of inning 5, 4-2 Rays. Baseball on Sun Sports is brought to you by Courtesy Toyota. You'll love what we do for you. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Grow Financial. Don't go through life, grow through life with Grow Financial Federal Credit Union. Nathan Karns with a 4-2 lead as the Rays come in to hit in the bottom of the 5th inning. New pitcher out there for New York. Warren gone after 4. Esmil Rogers delivers the first pitch to Steven Souza Jr. and it's a strike. Souza 1 out of 2 tonight, singled his first time. 0-2.
Well, it's the Rays who are able to get into the Yankee bullpen first here tonight. In the bottom of the 5th inning. Well, it was the outburst in the 4th that did Adam Warren in. Seemed to be cruising up to that point.
Well, the Rays got their 4 runs, 6 hits, a couple walks, 2 home runs on an 80-pitch night for Warren. Rogers with a jump on Sousa, ball 2 strikes. Two and two. A strike call there at the knees on the curveball.
Well, Rogers will attack hitters with both the curveball and the slider, and this was the curveball, 77 miles an hour, and he spun this one nicely right to the bottom of the zone.
So Asdrubal Cabrera. Yankees shift for Cabrera. And then another curveball, this one to start him.
And interestingly enough, it's not the extreme shift. You know, with nobody on base, a lot of times you'll see that second baseman, in this case Stephen Drew, way out into right field, shallow right field, but not here.
Another curveball. Cabrera's down in the count, 0-2.
About the only time you don't see the extreme shift with nobody on base is if the hitter at the plate runs very, very well. And so you want to cut down the distance of the throw.
It's a ball and 2 strikes. Friari throwing again in the bullpen up the right field side for the Rays. Barnes had made 106 pitches through 5.
Asdrubal Cabrera coming off that tough series up in Toronto at the plate. A hit here tonight, looking to get it going offensively. Has been as advertised, very solid out in the field.
Two and two. After getting ahead 0-2, Rogers finds the count full with Cabrera fouling away a couple of pitches, taking a couple pitches. Three-two. Chopped to first. Back of the bag fair. Rogers covers. Cabrera's the second out. That brings up Evan Longoria. Evan with 4 hits in his career off Rogers. 3 of those have been home runs, 4 for 13. Ball, no strikes. Well, Evan, with an infield hit in the 4th inning, started that 4-run frame. One. Throws a fastball into him, and it's now 2-1.
Well, Rogers well aware of the success of Evan Longoria, trying to pitch him backwards. Couple of curveballs to start him off, a fastball in off the plate. Regardless, he's ended up in a good hitter's count.
Ooh, and he let it loose right there. Fastball took a big cut.
Well, Evan got the heater that he was looking for. This pitch middle away, 91 miles an hour, just out of the reach.
Foul the other way, out of play, so we'll see another 2-2 pitch. Here the Rays lead 4-2. Tigers won again. They're 9-1, beat the White Sox 2-1. Pop foul. And the Padres beat the Cubs today in Chicago 5-4. James Shields, the former Ray, picking up the victory. Cubs had called up Chris Bryant. They cleaned up and went 0 for 4. There's ball 3. So the count is full.
Another extended at bat. Rogers up to 20 pitches.
And there's ball 4. So he got ahead of Longoria, then went to 3-2, and after a couple of foul balls, walked him on a 3-2 curveball.
And the look by Joe Girardi says it all.
Number 8, Desmond Jennings.
Not real happy.
It does right there. Perfect.
Well, what are you going to do?
One look worth 1,000 words right there. And here is Desmond Jennings. Jennings walked and scored his last time. And he takes ball 1. Ooh, big cut there. Jennings trying to put a little distance there between the Rays and the Yankees with that cut.
We've seen some of these fastballs from Rogers stay true, four-seam style. Others have a little dip at the end, that little sink two-seamer, and that one just darted below the swing of Desmond Jennings.
Now Desmond down in the count.
Well, yeah, and then of course he comes back with the very next fastball, the one that stays true, same plane, no sink at the end, and it's out over the plate. Desmond would like to have flipped.
Sometimes you just can't believe what you see.
Right. Where you're like, well, I don't want this one to dart again, and you take it, and you're like, that was the one I could have crushed.
play, fouling the fastball back. Rogers working the fifth in relief of Adam Warren. Warren touched for 4 runs, including back-to-back home runs from Dykstra and Forsythe. Dykstra is on deck, hoping to get a chance to bat in the fifth. Jennings fouling it again. Foul ball again. And the Blue Jays and the Braves are tied 5-5 in the bottom of the fifth in Toronto. Blue Jays had a 4-2 lead. The Braves grabbed a 5-4 lead. Now Toronto with a run in the bottom of the fifth inning. Josh Donaldson has hit a couple of home runs. Russell Martin has hit one. And Devon Travis has hit another one, the young second baseman. Jennings out on strikes, missed the breaking ball. So we go to the sixth inning. Teixeira, McCann, and Rodriguez due up. Rodriguez hit a homer in the second. Rays have hit 2 home runs with Dykstra and Forsythe going back-to-back in the fourth. And as we go to the sixth inning, it's 4-2 Tampa Bay.
Cash looking at his lineup card. Very special guest with me. Look at this, guys. He was once a little green slab of clay. It's Gumby right here. Life-size Gumby, which we bring up the Gumby here because tomorrow's a giveaway item. Look, Gumby can do exactly what the Alex Cobb Gumby is doing here. We put the arm straight. Gumby's arms go straight. We lift the leg up, put the arm up. It's Gumby, and it's a giveaway tomorrow for all fans who come to the Yankees and Rays middle game of this 3-game series. It'll be an Alex Cobb Gumby giveaway tomorrow. Make sure you're here, 7:10 first pitch. You won't want to miss the giveaway. We're not giving away life-size Gumby. We're giving away the smaller version. Guys, back to you. Hanging out with Gumby on the porch. Life is good.
It is good indeed. Everybody wants a Gumby.
And Gumby's doing good work out there on the porch.
Yeah.
He hasn't left. We saw him earlier in a James Shields throwback uni. And now hanging with Todd. Shirts come off.
Hey. he got fueled. A little refreshment early. New pitchers Ernesto Frieri. 2-2 the count on Teixeira. Walked and hit a fly ball to left. McCann will be next. 5 innings for Carnes. 106 pitches. 2 hits, 2 runs. Both hits home runs. 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. And here's Frieri on 2-2 to Teixeira. Full count.
Well, that's been the theme of the night. Both of these offenses are working a lot of deep pitch counts, and that's what got Nathan Carnes out of there. 5 innings, over 100 pitches. Just the 2 runs given up, and the Rays are going to need to get 4 solid innings out of their pen.
Towering fly ball, not too deep to right for Sousa Jr. And that's 1 out in the 6th inning.
Number 34, Brian McCann.
Bring up the catcher, Brian McCann. You saw C.J. Riefenhauser throwing in the bullpen. McCann takes a breaking pitch for a strike. Orioles batting in the 6th inning at Boston, tied with the Red Sox 2-2. Now 1-1. Now 2-1. Alex Rodriguez on deck. Three balls and a strike.
And after the charge that he put into that fastball in his first at bat, you'd like to see him come up with nobody on. Here in the 3-1 count. Ernesto needs to make a pitch.
And he loses the catcher, McCann. And so Alex Rodriguez continues to chase Willie Mays. Mays with 660 home runs. Here's a look at number 600 for Mays. That came in San Diego off Mike Corkin in 1969. Willie Mays, 660 home runs. There's a strike to Rodriguez. Mays hit number 660 in New York as a member of the Mets off Reds left-hander Don Gullett. One and one. Right now, 657 for Alex Rodriguez. Ball, 2 strikes.
Frieri with a couple fastballs here in this at bat, right to the outside corner. He's able to drive that pitch away from Alex Rodriguez while keeping it down in the zone. Let's see if he follows it up with a breaking ball or goes back with the heat.
And a long one to left, down the line, and that ball is fair and out of here. Alex Rodriguez with his 2nd home run of the night turns the fastball around.
the first two fastballs of the at-bat, first pitch he threw him, the third pitch he threw him, he was able to bore right to the outside corner. Alex Rodriguez got a good look at the heater, but nothing that he could handle. He comes back with one in a 1-2 count, and this leaped right out over the heart of the plate, and Alex Rodriguez timed it up, and his second of the night. And here he's trying to go away. Look where this pitch ends up. You see that catcher reaching back over the heart of the plate. It typically does not end well for the pitcher.
Stephen Drew, and the pitch is down and into him. So 2 home runs for Alex Rodriguez. He has 658 now. Rodriguez accounting for 3 of the 4 New York runs tonight. Well, 1 and 2. 61 multi-home run games for Alex Rodriguez. His last one came against Kansas City in 2012. Fastball, and Drew missed it. 2 outs.
No, he's done most of his home run damage off of the fastball. Of course, 2 here tonight off the heater. You got Daniel Norris. The Rays saw him up in Toronto on a heater deep into left center field. He's been turning around the fastball. The mistake's out over. He's gotten 2 tonight and cashed in.
There's Young. Golfs it foul, strike 1, so it's a tie game now, 4-4. 49 of those home runs for Rodriguez off Rays pitching. David Ortiz is next with 44. Fly ball into left. Jennings takes care of that. So a walk to McCann, and then the home run on a 1-2 fastball. Alex Rodriguez ties this game 4-4. Rodriguez for a 2-run home run. Very Gave up a couple on the road trip to Saltalamacchia and Pompeii. And now one to Alex Rodriguez tonight. Bottom of the 6th, Alan Dykstra, who belted a 3-run home run in the 4th inning. Bats against Rogers. 1-0 the count. So Rogers had a lengthy 5th inning. He faced only 4 men, walked 1, left a man on. He's already up to 30 pitches. There's a high sky pop to the left side. Headley, the third baseman, takes care of that.
Well, let's take a look at that sequence to Alex Rodriguez by Ernesto Frieri. Fastball in a great spot outside corner, the breaking ball. Alex takes another fastball right to the corner, but then watch this. Leaked. And when they leak, a lot of times they get hammered.
Logan Forsythe followed up Dykstra's home run with one of his own in the 4th. Strike the count. One now. Chop back to third. Throw from Headley, and it's there in time. 2 up, 2 down.
That's a nice play by Chase Headley as he's backing up. You know, you're trying to get the hop that you want, all the while understanding who's coming out of the box, what kind of speed they have. And Chase Headley decides to go ahead, back up, get a nice hop, throw off his back foot, and record the out.
Justin Wilson down to the Yankees bullpen. Tim Beckham. 1 strike. Beckham has struck out and lined out to short. Line drive caught there by Gregorius. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. On to the 7th inning, tied 4-4. Tied 4-4. Alex Rodriguez opened the scoring with a home run back in the second inning. And he brought the New York Yankees even with a 2-run home run in the sixth. After the Rays had gotten back-to-back home runs from Alan Dykstra, a 3-run blast in the fourth, and then Logan Forsythe. Forsythe's home run made it a 4-2 Rays lead until A-Rod hit the home run in the sixth inning. And at the end of 6, we're tied 4-4. C.J. Riefenhauser will be the new pitcher for the Rays, following Nathan Carnes and Ernesto Frieri. Didi Gregorius leads it off. Pitch is upstairs. Riefenhauser, last year, 7 appearances, and it's just joined the Rays today from Durham. Gregorius sends it to center. Kiermaier's there to catch it, 1 out in the 7th. Jeff Beliveau placed on the disabled list today, and Riefenhauser gets the summons from Durham. He faces the left-handed bat of Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury misses the fastball, strike 1. Steve Geltz is up in the Rays bullpen.
Steve Geltz has gotten some work here in the early part of the season, including a start in an odd game for the Rays as they try to piece something together in the National League ballpark. But he has shown himself up to the task. You hope the same for CJ.
Missed with a breaking ball. It's 2-1.
Jacoby Ellsbury 4 out of 12 this season against left-handers. Hit .300 against lefties last year.
Looks at foul. It'll be out of play. And squares the count at 2-2. Riefenhauser grew up in New York. In fact, grew up as a Yankee fan. And of those 7 appearances he made last year for the Rays, 4 were against New York. Comes up, joins the club today, and in there against the Yankees again. Chase Headley who's on deck. Switch hitting third baseman.
Interesting too, Riefenhauser, a lefty specialist type of guy. Look where he's set up on the rubber. I mean, to the far third base side.
Check swing, foul ball. Let's see another 3-2.
I mean, and he's got just the tip of that left shoe. There's a lot of rubber. Not in front of that, but I'll tell you, he's got a little bit, just a slight crossfire. And he'll sweep the breaking ball, bore the fastball. An interesting setup.
A little tap again.
And that delivery there, actually, a good line towards the glove on the outside corner. And when you face a right-handed hitter, it's a little bit easier for you to get that fastball in. If you so choose to do it, you can also sink and run it away from him.
And he misses inside to Ellsbury. 6th walk given up by Rays pitching tonight. Here's what's coming up Sunday on Rays Live, the pregame show, presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. It'll be a kids Sunday, by the way, and Orestes Destrado will break down Alex Rodriguez. Chase Headley takes the pitch upstairs. The Yankees run Headley, Beltran, and Teixeira back to back to back here. 3 switch hitters in a row. To strike.
Well, that's one way to combat matchups. Although, you know, every hitter has a side that he's more proficient at. So managers will choose in tight situations.
Keep an eye on Ellsbury. Strike. Nauser got the zone away from Headley.
Chase Headley, career .256 hitter against lefties, .269 against righties. You got to keep your eye on Ellsbury. Since the beginning of the 2013 season, he is now 93 out of 103 in stolen bases, and that's his career.
Yankees have 3 steals this year. He has 2 of them.
This was a team that was 3rd in the American League last year in stolen bases. A big reason why Jacoby Ellsbury, so Gardner.
Put away. 2-2. Gardner, Brett Gardner, not in the lineup again tonight for New York. A wrist issue, his right wrist. Two. One hop shot. Cabrera short, out at second, out at first. Cabrera beckoned to Dykstra. Headley hit it hard. Cabrera stayed with it and started the double play with the toss to Beckham. 7-inning stretch time at the ballpark. Tied 4-4.
outstanding double play. What a heck of a play by Asdrubal Cabrera. The flip is what did it. A long way to flip, and I'll tell you, he powered that thing over to Tim Beckham, and that's what allowed them to complete that double play.
Now Bobby Wilson after the first pitch here in the bottom of the inning with a popper down the third base side and near the bullpen. As it turns out, neither Headley nor Gregorius could get there. And I think they, especially Headley, thought they should have had a play on that.
Yeah, and Chase Headley not happy for a couple of reasons. The play that we just showed, number one, and number two, I think he felt like he had a play, and Gregorius kind of gets in his way. I think he feels that he could get a shot at it. Not happy at all.
A chance for Wilson. He takes a strike.
There have been some decisions out in the field and on the base paths made by Didi Gregorius here in the early part of this season that has left more than a number of people scratching their heads, and that doesn't help.
Yeah, and a tough spot for him, as we discussed earlier. You see, he's in there bumping Headley, and of course, there's no chance for him to move down that railing at all. And Gregorius acknowledging that he was in the way. There's a liner caught by Young. You know, tough spot for Gregorius, but for the reasons that we mentioned earlier, replacing Jeter, he's in New York. He says he's all right. He's not nervous about it, but boy, you could understand how he could be subject to the pressure of both of those elements. Pitching change coming, back in a moment. The T-Mobile game changer, and just not right. When you think about the shoes he's stepping into,
and it goes far beyond those numbers. Those numbers, I mean, they speak pretty loudly on their own, but it goes far beyond that and what Derek Jeter meant to the New York Yankees. Not easy.
Justin Wilson, the left-hander, 27 years old, the new pitcher for the Yankees. Big cut and a foul on the fastball. That fastball gets up there in a hurry. Mid-90s. And it's 1-1. His challenge has been command. Great arm, as we can see readily.
And how often do we talk about that with guys that have big fastballs? You know, for whatever reason, you know, a lot of times just the velocity that they create, there's a lot of body movement. It's full max effort all the time, and a lot of times those guys, that delivery sometimes can go haywire as they're trying to create the velo.
2-2. Another one there. Betances, the right-hander, up in the bullpen. He has not been exactly what they had hoped for in the early stages of this season, coming off an outstanding performance last year. Wilson was in 70 games for Pittsburgh last year. As we've seen already, he's at 95, 96. And that one at 95 is on the corner. Strike three.
Well, you're waiting for that one mistake out over the plate. And in a 2-2 count, Justin Wilson throws the best pitch of the AB.
So he gets Kiermaier. Steven Souza Jr. do, and we're going to have another change. Little game of this series on Fox Sports 1. Tanaka for New York, Odorizzi for the Rays. Jake looking for his third win of the year. He's been outstanding, and it's been a challenge for Masahiro Tanaka so far. Now here's Betances. Dylan Betances in, and he throws a breaking ball that's in there for a strike to Souza. And you can see the breakout here for Betances, how difficult it has been to find the zone so far this year through 4 games.
Well, he's worked 4 1/3 innings, and he's given up 10 base runners. 4 hits, 6 walks. Been very difficult for him to repeat that delivery and get to the consistent release point. And just pitches have been all over the place.
1-2.
And that too, you can almost circle the velocity right there. We remember Betances from last year when he was able to ring up 135 strikeouts in 90 innings. Always in the upper 90s with the heater.
Little number to the right side off the mitt. Up to Shera, rolling beyond the second base bag. You know, the way that play developed, it was a little strange because it was cued off the end of the bat, and Betances, a beat late leaving the mound, turned out to be academic because the ball was deflected off the mitt of Teixeira anyway.
Yeah, this ball, a little breaking ball, and you see a little cue shot. That's going to have some English on it. Mark Teixeira goes down and kind of swats this ball out towards Gregorius right off the heel of the glove. An outside edge.
And here is Asdrubal Cabrera. There goes Souza. The throw to second is not in time. Gregorius could not come up with the throw. And the Rays right away steal second base.
And he may have gotten hit right in the back with that throw. Well, not wasting any time. The Rays, they've shown themselves to be aggressive on the base paths. And that throw, let's take a look. Yes, it did. Square in the back.
One strike to count to Cabrera. Down and in, 1-1. So the Rays taking advantage of the infield hit with a swipe of second. Have Souza in scoring position against Betances.
You know, in those 90 innings last year, Betances gave up 12 stolen bases in 15 attempts. Second one he's given up this year.
It's an element the Rays have more of this year than they have the last season or two. This breaking ball drops in there, and Asdrubal Cabrera is down 1-2. Did he go? No, says Jerry Lane. On the breaking ball, and the count is 2-2. That was close.
Yeah, it was. Sharp break. It's just off the plate away. Cabrera took it right up to the line, but didn't cross it.
Little tapper right side. Betances there to cover, and the Rays leave a man. We go to the 8th. 4-4 tie. Tie ball game here, 4-4. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. Alex Rodriguez, a couple of home runs, 658 for his career. Alan Dykstra, a 3-run shot for the Rays. Logan Forsythe has hit one. And as we go to the 8th, Carlos Beltran facing Kevin Jepson. First pitch misses, 1 ball, no strikes. Beltran to Sharon McCann. Down into the middle part of the New York lineup. 2-0. Curveball. Jepson got the Rays out of a major spot in the 8th inning of last night's game up in Toronto with the bases loaded and nobody out. The Rays went on to win that game 4-2. Two and one.
We've seen Jepson with that fastball, hovers in the mid-90s. He's got the power curveball to go with it, occasional changeup to a lefty, and he has been excellent for the Rays here in the early going.
There's a base hit through the open side of the infield. He takes it the other way against the shift. Beltran has himself a base hit. Well, here's that performance by Jepson last night.
What made it so great was the Rays with a 4-run lead. It's bases loaded, nobody out, and you're going to go through Bautista and Encarnacion. Got Bautista to fly out, shallow enough, no advancement. Encarnacion a sac fly to center, and then finish it off. Leandro Navarro grounding out, and he gets out of the bases loaded, nobody out jam, just giving up 1 run through the heart of the lineup. Tremendous, and that went a long way towards the Rays holding on and winning that game 4-2.
Yankees have Brett Gardner pinch running at first. Teixeira takes a strike. Gardner with the bad wrist, but he can run, and he's in there to run for Beltran right now. Back in Beltran, who had, as you know, had played over in the National League with the Astros and the Mets and the Cardinals. Spent time with the Royals and the Yankees in the American League, and that little ground ball was his 1,000th American League hit. And a move to first. Nice pickup there by Dykstra.
Yep, that's 2 pickoff attempts in a row by Kevin Jepson that have gone into the dirt. Alan Dykstra keeping both of them from sneaking by. Some nifty glove work. Tie ball game, 8th inning. You've got speed on first base. Jepson gave up 4 stolen bases last year in 65 innings. You see that quick little flip over there, and Dykstra with a nice backhand.
Teixeira looks a high fly ball. Kiermaier in center field takes care of it. Not very deep. 1 away in the 8th. Here's the catcher, Brian McCann. McCann walked in front of the home run by Alex Rodriguez in the 6th inning.
Did you see where Bobby Wilson set up right there? That was not a pitch out, but he set up anticipating Brett Gardner may be going. He was nowhere near. There was no chance that the delivery by Jepson could be called a strike from where he was set up.
Pitch away, 2-0. There's a strike, fastball, 2-1.
Well, you don't want to straight pitch out. Look where Bobby Wilson is set up on pitch number 1. Nowhere near, almost in the other batter's box.
And now it's ball 3. Alex Rodriguez on deck. There goes Gardner, and the pitch is skied to center. Kiermaier is there to grab it. 2 outs. Two gone with Gardner at first, and Alex Rodriguez, who has 2 home runs tonight. One came in the second inning against Nathan Carnes. The other one came in the 6th inning. A 2-run home run connecting off Ernesto Frieri. And now it's Kevin Jepsen out there on the hill. A-Rod is 0 for 10 in his career against Jepsen. Swing and a foul ball. Big cut, big uppercut. You know what he was thinking about.
Well, power on power. Kevin Jepsen not backing down from the challenge is going to come with heat down the middle of the plate, and Alex Rodriguez with a big swing. There it is. A little backswing caught Bobby Wilson in the mask.
The 0-1 from Jepsen. How about that? Dropping that curveball in there for strike 2.
I think he waved himself off.
I think he
may
did.
have. I think he wanted to call it. That was strange.
Yeah, it's 1-1. That pitch down has been called a strike tonight. Little tapper, third base side foul. So the count now is 1-2. Saw that home run list there a moment ago. With the 2 tonight by Alex Rodriguez, closing to within 2 of Willie Mays. He's 4th on the all-time home run list. Gardner at first, 2 outs, 1-2 to Alex Rodriguez. Two. First on Gardner.
Brett Gardner's been stuck over there at first base for a while and probably getting antsy to go. Now 2 strikes here on Alex Rodriguez, and Kevin Jepsen pays him a little mind.
He's going. Pitch high, and the throw will not be in time. A stolen base for Gardner.
Now he was leaning and got a very good jump. That was a fastball up, an easier pitch for Bobby Wilson to handle, and they still couldn't get him because of the jump. Trying to block that second base right there. Tim Beckham not quite able to do it.
Gardner's first stolen base of the year. At one point he was a high 40 stolen base guy. He's been down in the low 20s the last couple of years and picks up a big steal there. 3-2 now, and it's fouled out of play. We're in the 8th. Yankees have 4 runs, 4 hits, 3 of those hits have been home runs. Liner into center field, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Gardner scores. Rodriguez drives in his 4th run of the night. Kiermaier tried to get there and just could not close quickly enough.
Well, this is going to head towards right center field. The breaking ball. Alex Rodriguez stays down and through it, goes back up the middle, and you're going to get a great shot of it here. Kiermaier just cannot quite get there. Gardner, who had put himself into scoring position by stealing second base, able to come around easily.
So Rodriguez gets his first hit in 11 at-bats in his career against Jepson off that breaking ball. I want to know the count on Drew. Popped up foul. Out of play. 1-1. Drew homered in the 4th. Steve Geltz back up in the bullpen. Now 1-2. In front of Tony Pena, the first base coach, and beyond. It's 2-2. Jepson gave up the base hit to Beltran, who just grounded it through the left side of the infield against the shift. And the Yankees have converted that into a run. Short right into the shift. Beckham throws out Drew. Alex Rodriguez singles home the go-ahead run. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4 New York. Longoria leads off the bottom of the 8th inning against Dylan Betances. And the first pitch is a strike around the knees. Brett Gardner stays on to play left, and Chris Young moves over from left to right field. One ball, one strike. Two. Pitch in there in the mid-90s from Betances. We saw a lot of breaking stuff from him when he came on in the 7th. Miller is he in the Yankee bullpen right now, and Longoria is out on strikes. Betances went right after him in the mid-90s.
You know, Betances, his last half inning, a lot of breaking balls, but he's going to feature the fastball here against Evan Longoria. Starts him off with one right there on the corner, strike one, mid-90s. Going to come with the breaking ball here just off, and then it's just straight heat. Fastball up and away, and same thing, carbon copy, and picks up the first out here in the 8th. Well, that's what the Yankees envisioned when they looked at the back end of their bullpen after David Robertson, who had 39 saves last year, left as a free agent to Chicago. They thought Betances, they signed Andrew Miller. This is how that they would lock down the 8th and 9th. We'll see if they can.
It's thrown into the dirt. It's 2-0.
It's been a struggle here at the beginning couple of weeks for Betances to try to right himself. Andrew Miller, on the other hand, has been tremendous in his few outings.
Two and one. Three balls and a strike. Fastball missed. Center field. Ellsbury still going back to the track, and he makes the catch. Straightaway center off the bat of Desmond Jennings. He got the fastball, and that might have been the best fastball, up 97, 98 from Betances. So Jennings is the second out. We're going to see a new pitcher. Sunday the 19th, kids 14 and under receive an Evan Longoria rubber duck while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Andrew Miller, the new pitcher for the New York Yankees, with 2 outs and nobody on in the 8th. Alan Dykstra due. Rene Rivera will pinch hit against this tough left-hander.
Well, on for the 4th time, 2 for 2 in saves. 6 strikeouts, 3 2/3 innings. Nothing new for Miller. Big strikeout numbers a year ago.
And the first pitch shot towards center field. On the run is Ellsbury, who tracks it down. Rivera ready for that first pitch fastball, and Ellsbury tracked it down. Put a good swing on it. Ellsbury grabbed it. To the night. 5-4 New York. Brought to you by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with Cyber Knife. Available exclusively at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Rays down by a run as we go into the 9th inning. Rene Rivera remains in the game to play first. Steve Geltz is the new pitcher. He'll face Chris Young to lead off the 9th. Young now playing right field. Strike one.
Steve Geltz already in his 6th game. 5 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts.
It's 1-1. Geltz was in the game last night for 3 hitters in Toronto. It's a strike of the knees. Fastball. Young chased it.
Geltz up above the zone with that heater. That ball just continually rising up above the zone, right around the letters.
Now batting shortstop, D.D. Gregorius.
It'll be D.D. Gregorius, the shortstop. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Ball, no strikes. Couple fly balls sandwiched around a strikeout for Gregorius. 2-0. 2-1.
You know, we've seen a couple of these swings from Gregorius against fastballs, not considered overpowering, but he's been tardy. Especially early in counts, just not getting it started soon enough. And that part of the reason why it's been a slow start for Didi.
Now 3-1.
Almost as if he's not recognizing the pitch. Sees that it's a fastball, goes to fire the hands, and it's just late.
Toward the line and left, Jennings into foul territory, handles this one. 3-1 fastball, and he fouls out down the left side. 2 up, 2 down.
Center fielder, Jacoby Ellsbury.
This is Jacoby Ellsbury. He walked in the 7th inning, 0 for 3. Couple of ground ball outs. Rays in the bottom of the 9th due to have Forsythe, Beckham, and Wilson. One and one. Now 2-1 count on Ellsbury. He's beginning a 9-game homestand against New York, Boston, and Toronto. 2-2. Go to 3-2. Oh, look at this one. Pretty close. Pop to the right side for Beckham. And the Rays will go into the bottom half of the 9th inning, leading 1 to tie, 2 to win it. Forsythe, Beckham, and Wilson do. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd and Arostas will be anchoring the coverage. We'll hear from Kevin Cash in his press conference and interviews from the clubhouse with Emily Austin. Logan Forsythe to open the ninth, and he takes the first pitch from the tall left-hander, and it's in there for a strike. Andrew Miller got Rene Rivera to end the eighth. That pitch is outside. 1-1.
Andrew Miller, fastball, slider, a lot of deception, a lot of moving parts, huge strikeout numbers, 14.9 strikeouts per 9 last year.
Yeah, he was a big swing and miss guy. Gives you an interesting angle.
Well, he, like you said, tall and lanky, and then he slings the ball. Great movement, great velocity.
Now 3-1. Tim Beckham on deck. Ground ball headed toward the middle. Backhanded by Drew, but no play, and the Rays put the leadoff man on. Base hit for Logan Forsythe.
Logan doing a nice job in a hitter's count, not getting greedy. And he just stays, look at that, short, able to squeeze that ball past Miller, almost into center field, but just as effective. There was no play to be made here. You see how far on the shortstop side of second base Stephen Drew had to go to get to that ground ball, and once he dove and left his feet, no chance.
Now Forsythe aboard, and Tim Beckham stepping in. He takes a strike.
You know, Chase Headley not taking any chances. He was a few steps onto the turf down at third base, thinking bunt.
Dug out by McCann. Slider in the dirt. Forsythe with his lead. Beckham missing a fastball. And there's a strike on the corner at 94. Beckham caught looking.
Tim Beckham frustrated. And they actually wanted this fastball in on him. You see where McCann is set up. This ball ends up middle of the heart. And no dice.
Bobby Wilson. It's a strike.
Well, we were talking in between innings. You've got Brandon Guyer on the bench. Where will you see him? Will you see him for Bobby Wilson, or he's on deck now maybe for Kevin Kiermaier?
Wilson behind in the count, 0-2. There's Guyer. Brandon 1 for 3 in his career against Andrew Miller. Forsythe reached on the infield hit. Shortens and fouls it back.
You just want to give yourself a chance here. You got to make a quick decision. Andrew Miller, very good stuff, difficult to deal with. He's up in the count 0-2. You're just looking to put the ball in play, find a hole, but give yourself a chance.
Takes it wide. 1-2. Orioles and the Red Sox in the bottom of the ninth at Fenway tied 2-2. The Braves have beaten the Blue Jays 8-7, and Wilson is out on strikes. Second strikeout back-to-back for Andrew Miller.
Well, it's the breaking ball, and it's the breaking ball up in the zone. Not quite the finish that Miller was looking for, but he got the desired result.
And now Geyer will hit for Kiermaier. Brandon 4 of 17 on the year and 1 for 3 lifetime against Miller. And he checked in time. Fastball. Now it's 1-2.
Brandon Geyer thinking about ending this ball game. Andrew Miller able to power the fastball up in the zone.
A 1-2 count. A foul ball forcing another pitch. Good night for Alex Rodriguez. 2 home runs and 4 runs batted in, including the go-ahead run with a single in the 8th. Braves scored 4 in the 4th. That's been it so far. Down to their last strike. Geyer fouls this one, slicing into the seats.
Stay alive and hope for a mistake. So Brandon Geyer's thinking right now. Andrew Miller, a 2-pitch guy, fastball slider.
And he did go, and this one is over. Geyer strikes out to end it. 3 consecutive strikeouts for Miller following the base hit by Forsythe. And New York takes the first game of the series. It's a 5-4 final. Alex Rodriguez delivering the game-winning hit with an RBI single in the 8th. Andrew Miller closes it out. On that pitch, Geyer could not check. So the Yankees win this one 5-4. Betances will get the win. Miller the save. Betances 2-0. Miller's 3rd save. Jepson 0-1 on the year. It took 3 hours and 12 minutes to play it in game 1 of this 3-game series here at Tropicana Field. So the Rays now 6-5 on the year. New York 4-6. Same 2 teams tomorrow on Fox Sports 1 with the coverage beginning at 7 o'clock. Jake Odorizzi against Masahiro Tanaka. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, this is Dwayne Stats. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast, if not the outcome. Rays Live, the post game coming up, presented by Checkers, part of our continuing coverage.